Hi, my name is Vinny Mono, and I'm your host. In this episode, we'll talk about the ego. It's a man's world. This is a man's world. This is a man's world. But it wouldn't be nothing without a woman or a girl. This song was written by James Brown and Betsy Jean Newsom. The line that stands out to me the most within this song is it's actually the ending, where it goes like this. This is a man's world, but it wouldn't be nothing, not one little thing without a woman or a girl. He's lost in the wilderness. He's lost in bitterness. He is lost. Betsy Jean Newsom ended up suing James Brown because she said that he refused to pay her royalties. And then later she claimed that James Brown actually didn't write the song. Hi, my name is Vinny Mono, and I'm your host. In this episode, why did I start about the ego? I started with this song because it's a man's world. The ego, this is a man's world, tells us that everything we do, everything that has our name on it, wouldn't be nothing that we, the individual, should get praised for, or a girl. This song was written by that James Brown. For some reason, Betsy, for some crazy thought that Jean, it is Newsom. Our own doing. The line that stands out to me the most received within the accolades, that is song, it is our own doing. It's actually that we have received, where it goes like this specific success. This is a man's world, but it wouldn't be nothing from nothing. Not one little thing famous without a woman or a girl. High-achieving, great athlete. He's lost in the even wilderness. A politician, or he's even lost in bitterness. Any great accomplishments lost within our human existence. Betsy Jean Newsom has been ended up suing James Brown. Collaboration. She said that he refused for that thing to exist. And then later the ego tells us that no, whoever's name is on the product, whoever signature is in the bottom, they're the ones that should get all the credit. The irony in James Brown's song, it's a man's world, but it wouldn't be nothing without a woman or girl, and him refusing to give royalties to the woman that actually allowed for the song to be made. That's just the irony. And that, my friend, is what I call ego. Ego is something that we're told to die. Let it die every single day. That we have to die to our ego in order to be the person you want to be. And I truly do believe in that. But dying to your ego looks very different for everybody else. For me, dying to my ego looks like me taking the mirror from my face and turning around and letting others see themselves within me. And vice versa, me seeing myself in others. And really thinking about what does it actually mean to live in a collaborative world. The ego tells us that it is the person's name on the door that matters the most. The ego tells us that it is the man that created the space shuttle. It is the man that went and landed on the moon. It is the man that created the internet, the bullet, the cars, the toys. But we forget that it's not one person that did it. It's a collective. It's a team that came together. Someone might say, well, one person had a vision and then he created a team to fulfill that vision. I understand, but that one person didn't do it alone. That vision had to be broken down so that it is brought down in a way that it makes a systematic sense for people to function, people to help bring that vision to life. When you think about Apple, you think about Steve Jobs. When you think about Microsoft, you think about Bill Gates. When you think about the Roman Empire, Think about Julius Caesar. Think about Alexander the Great. There's other people that we think about as well. When we think about the civil rights movements, you think about Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X. You think about Muhammad Ali. Think about Rosa Parks. If those individuals didn't have the collective team around them, would they have made a big enough impact? Would we have still remembered them? The answer is no. They would have been probably one speck in the human progression, but I don't think they would have been as powerful. I have this saying right now. I just thought about. It is that if there's no one to tell your legacy, if there's no one to remind people the impact that you've made in a collective environment, then your visions, your beliefs, your values, they die with you. The ego likes to tell us that it is all about I and not about we. When I used to be an athlete, I had a specific role to play. As a striker, as I'm playing soccer, I am a striker, I'm attacking, and I'm looking around so I can position myself to be in a better place to get the ball and score. And if I'm not looking and my teammate is trying to pass me the ball, they're never going to pass me the ball. If it's all about me, I am never actually thinking about the collective. To decide the type of man you want to be, you have to decide what type of ego are you willing to let go. I believe there are different types of ego. 1, the selfish ego. 2, the me ego. And 3, the ego that sees everything against me. Your worth is not based on what you are able to produce. Several years ago, a friend of mine asked me this question. He said, "Hey, who is the real Vinny? Who is the real Vinny outside of Vinny's ideas, Vinny's camera, Vinny's photography projects, and Vinny's ability to want to make a positive impact in the world?" It took me a while to really take that question and dissect it for myself. I think so many times as a man, we get so clinged and connected to our products, the things that we produce, that we forget that our worth is not based upon our production, that our worth is based upon how we show up to make a positive impact. And I believe that the ego tries to remind us that our worth is based upon what we produce and how we show up to influence change, how we show up to shut down people, how we show up to put our ideas instead of the collective ideas first. When I'm working with clients, I always tell them, it's not about me. You brought me in this project to support in the way to bring the highest level of production or the highest level of campaign for the success that you envision to be seen. Like, I understand the goal, and I don't want to put myself as being the goal. I want the outcome that we want to achieve to be the goal. And every single client that I tell them this, they say, wow, you really care about what we're trying to achieve. I'm like, yeah, well, it's not about me. If my idea that I proposed to you doesn't work out, that you don't like it, then tell me, because it's not about me. I want to get the results that you've brought me in to get. And so I think that sometimes when men get in the room together, there's this joke within like the corporate world, is that men will talk all day long throughout the meeting, and then they will ask people for their opinion, but they actually don't want to hear their opinion. They just want to debate on how that person's input is completely wrong. And so the women in the room, they stay quiet. They stay quiet until towards the end, and then the final question gets asked. Hey, is there anyone wants to say something? Oh, hey, you've been quiet. Hey, Sarah, you've been quiet. You want to add something? And then Sarah just.
Who do you want to call?
See that? My Siri thinks that I'm talking to Siri when I said Sarah.
To who?
And then Sarah says, well,
To who?
Okay, stop talking over there. Then Sarah, I gotta stop saying the word. Let's change it to Liana.
No problem. I won't.
Liana says, by the way, I think that the objective of what we're trying to achieve here can be achieved if we remove this thing, if we add one thing, or if we think about what we actually want the customers to do, or if we think about what the R&D team wants to do. And then the whole entire room of men goes, you're absolutely right. We weren't even thinking about that. Why didn't we think about that? And you hear this a lot within the women in corporate America, or just in corporate in general, saying, I wanted to speak up, but the men were too busy trying to measure their penises that they forgot that it wasn't about them, that it was about the customer, that it was about the goal that we're trying to achieve. Back to collaboration. Collaboration is what the ego hates very, very much. The ego hates the word collaboration. And and the question I have for you is, how do you collaborate? Like, how do you choose to collaborate with people that aren't able to see the world the same way as you? Like, how are you able to come together and put the project and the impact that you want to achieve first, instead of trying to focus on the things that don't really matter? I want you to listen to this really quickly. This amazing quote on how this guy handles ego every single day.
The first step for me was just admitting I had an ego.
Yeah.
You know how hard that was? It was like, I thought I was the only dude on earth that didn't have an ego. I was like, I'm telling you, I'm the most egoless dude ever. And I had such an ego, and I still have to fight that guy a lot. I always joke with my management, but it's true, is that I need an hour when I wake up before I deal with people. I got to kill the bad half of me. Me and that guy go to war as soon as I wake up, because he's there. He's waiting for me. He's by the nightstand. You know what I mean? Be mad. Because I used to just wake up angry. Just woke up mad. And I fight that guy for an hour every morning. We wrestle. I feel like Jacob. I break a hip every day wrestling with God. You know what I'm saying? But it makes it, and you'll notice it, because I'm a better version of me if I don't get that out. I come out and you can kind of still sense it on me. It's but that's all about that ego death, man.
Yeah.
But I just replaced ego with love and compassion and started going, what would love say?
Those words came from Jelly Roll. How are you fighting your ego to be the best person you can be, to show up in the way you want to show up? I want you to write down the things that you like about yourself. Do you like the man you are? List the things that you like about yourself. And not the things that you produce, but the things that make you who you are. Like outside of your things that you produce, the things that you do. Those words came from Jelly Roll. How do you fight your ego every single day? There's something that he said. He said, I just replaced ego with love. What would love do? Instead of what would ego do in this moment, what would love do in this moment? I want you to write down the things that you like about yourself. Not the things that you produce, not the things that you do, but the things that you like about yourself. What type of character that you have that shines bright whenever you show up in places? What are the things, I want you to answer these questions for me. What are the things that you like about yourself? Not the things that you produce, but what are the things that you like about yourself? What type of character traits that you have that you like about yourself? What are some things that your friends say they like about you? And if you don't know it, just give them a text. Say, hey, if I'm writing a list down, can you just tell me the things that you like about me that is not tied to things that I produce? A couple of years ago, a friend of mine asked me, who are you, Vinny, besides... A couple of years ago, a friend of mine asked me, who are you outside of the things that you produce? Who are you outside of your camera? Who are you outside of your business? Who are you outside of sports? Who is the real Vinny? It took me a while to really dissect that question. And at first, I didn't know how to answer it. I was actually afraid to answer because I had put so much affirmation, so much belief, and so much connection to who I was to the things that I produce, the titles in my life. Soccer player, basketball player, college athlete, production manager, video strategist, photographer. And I realized that I didn't know how to answer that question. Now, if I was asked that same question, what I would say is, I'm a person that loves to see the world be a positive place. I'm a person that enjoys the wonder of the everyday. I'm a person that tries to do better, that tries to make a positive impact in everywhere that I go. I am an inter-extrovert person, more like an extra-introvert person. And I'm a person that is interested in bringing ideas to life and make a positive impact. And the last thing I'll say is that I'm a human being that knows that I have limited time on this earth. The times that I have, I want to connect with my friends, I want to connect with my family, and I want to put humanity first in all the things that I do. And not expecting the humanity is going to do the same thing to me. The only reason why I'm here is because the only reason why I'm able to talk to you is because another human being saw that my life, essentially a stranger to him, mattered. And they fought with policy, with foreign government, to make sure that refugees that were trying to flee a war-torn country, that they could have a opportunity to live and to continue. People say that we are our own ancestors. People also say that we are standing on the foots of giants. And I take that very seriously. Like, what does it mean to stand on the foot of a giant? It means that someone else has paved the way, a huge, huge way for me to be able to exist in the way that I exist now. And I hope that when I'm gone, that I've continued paving the ways that my ancestors have been trying to pave. I continue that lineage of paving the way so that others can have a way to also continue to survive and continue to do what they want to do in the world that we live in. The ego in a man's world tells us that when we are keeping it real with people, we have to be mean, that we can't be compassionate, that when we are telling someone their faults or areas where we need to improve on, that we have to deliver in a way that breaks them down instead of lifts them up. Your ego needs to be checked daily. Some of us, every minute. Who is the people in your life that checks your ego? That reminds you that, yes, you got 10 toes, got big steps, but you still gotta be on the ground. You still gotta put your foot on the ground for you to actually walk. No one's levitating. A friend of mine told me that the people that hurt you the most in your life are the ones that you open your heart to. He also said that people that can bring you the most joy, fulfillment, and lift you up are the ones that you open your heart to. How is that even possible? Well, it's possible because when we are vulnerable, we are able to take in criticism. We're vulnerable to the people that we truly want affirmation and friendships with. They have an ability to dim our existence. They have an ability to dim how we see the world and dim how we see ourselves. And so it's really, really important that when you're choosing friends, when you're choosing people to open your heart to, you have to decide and be conscious to decide. You have to decide wisely when you're choosing friends and people that you want to be vulnerable with. To ask them to make sure that they know what does it mean for them to actually show support, to show up for you when you need it. And in return, it's important that as men, we choose wisely who we want to be vulnerable with, who we want to share our deepest dreams, our deepest fears with. Because those people have the ability to either destroy the ego or to cause the ego to flare up and to explode. A person might say, the ego's not bad. Look at the athletes, the greatest athletes. They had to believe in themselves that they were great in order to accomplish greatness. You can accomplish greatness without being a egocentric person, without being a narcissist. People always say, when you meet your heroes, never meet your heroes because they're going to disappoint you. And I think in some ways it's true, because we have this perception of who our heroes are, that when we meet them, we paint this perspective onto them, and we forget that they're their own human being, and what we see of our heroes is only what the media or only what they want us to see. There was a famous actor, and he was talking about how he would prefer being a famous actor than being an influencer. And the reason for that is because if he's famous for being an actor, he just goes to a set, does his creative work, and when it comes to press time, he's out there in the world and he can shut the world out and go back to doing his own thing. But an influencer, you constantly have to be on, you have to constantly perform. There's no days off. Casey Neistat, the famous vlogger, YouTuber, said that I had to film every single day, filmed it for like 3 years straight, and not miss a day, because if I missed a day, I lost momentum. I lost the purpose behind it. And that burnt him out. That almost caused his marriage to collapse. And so this is where I see the ego come into effect. The ego says, do, while at the same time you're destroying everything around you, because your connection to the product, the connection to the product becomes the main focus, instead of what is your connection to the experience? What is your connection to the journey that you are doing, the journey of life? And so, endless of times we constantly hear that burnout, social media influencers are getting burnt out, and that celebrities taking a year, or even artists just taking a year or 5 years off from touring and doing all those different things because they needed to separate themselves from their own products. It is important for you to choose wisely who you're vulnerable with, because it can either break you or make you. It can either uplift you or cause you to go in a really, really bad mental health space. I'll end with this. I want to close with this. How do you respond to people you care about? How do you wake up in the morning? Do you wake up stressed? Do you wake up angry? How do you go to bed at night? Do you go to bed angry? Do you go to bed happy? Do you go to bed relaxed? How do you respond to people that you truly care about? What is it going on inside of you that is impacting how you are responding to people that you claim that you like or love? Deep down, I know that it is difficult trying to handle all that is on your plate. Deep down, I also know that everything on your plate, everything that you handle that's on your plate makes you feel good, makes you feel like you are on top of the world, makes you feel like, yeah, I'm doing it. I'm doing something. King Kong got nothing on me. We're not. Of course, King Kong doesn't have anything on you. If King Kong did, you'd be crushed. And so, what are the things that you have within your life right now that is preventing you from living a less egoistic life? The ego tells us that we are above everyone else, while reality and truth reminds us that the more we lean into our ego, the more that we are unstable within our mental state, within our body, and the more that we push people away, because ego doesn't bring people closer, it pushes people out. But Vinny, like, there has to be something good about ego. How many times, meaning, a perfect example is Michael Jordan. People say that Michael Jordan's drive was always his ego to prove to his opponents that he was better. I think that drive only lasted for so long. He has a competitiveness that is untouchable. He has a competitiveness that is out of this world, but I don't think that it's an ego. I think that it's an understanding that his ability to accomplish things comes down from the deep understanding of who he actually is, of being able to be great. And not that everyone has to strive to be great. I think that everyone has to strive to be the best they can be in whatever things they're doing. And I believe that every single day when we are able to check in with our ego, we become the better version of ourselves. Being an athlete, I'm always trying to show up better than I did before. And how I did that was based upon me spending that extra time practicing with myself, doing the individual work so that when I showed up, I was able to show up in a way that was in the betterment of my teammates and also the overall goal of what we're trying to achieve as a team. If that's me playing soccer, if that's me being a track athlete, if that's me being a basketball point guard. So think about this, and I'll leave you with one thing. How are you checking in with your ego? And next time you experience that ego come up, ego, not ego. Oh my gosh, the English word is such a funny thing. How are you checking in with your ego so that way, when it comes up, you can recognize it and change it to, what would love do in this moment? And sometimes love just walks away. Sometimes love doesn't say anything. And sometimes love calls out the BS. All right. Thank you.